Hello everyone and welcome back to a super simple beginner tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a very easy glass cup. Let's get started. To start I'm going to press Shift A on my keyboard. This will open up the add menu. Then I will hover over the mesh with my mouse, come down here to cylinder and left click. If I open up this menu here, I can change the vertices to a lower number if I want my object to be more low poly. If you are brand new to Blender, don't worry about this. Now I'm going with my object selected, I'm going to press G, then Z to lock it to the Z axis, and then 1 to move it up by 1. Now I'm going to press the S key and then the Z key. This will scale my object across the Z axis. Now I'll press G, Z and move it up. Now I will right click and shade smooth. As you can see, this shading has turned out really strange. To fix that, I will come over to the object data properties with my object selected. That is the green triangle over here. I will scroll down to where it says normal. This is closed, open this up and left click this box so it's checked. This is auto smooth and this will fix the weird shading on my object. Now I will press tab to enter edit mode. If you haven't changed any of your settings, this will go straight into edit mode, so don't worry about this menu appearing. Then I will press free on the keyboard to enter face select mode, select this top face here by pressing left click, and then I will press I to inset. You can move this just by moving your mouse, and then when you're done, left click. Now press the E key and then the Z, and that will extrude your face across the Z axis. If I wanted to make some sort of tower, I could move it up, but we're going to be making a simple glass cup. So I'm just going to move this down, and now because it's kind of hard to tell where the bottom of the cup is, I am going to press Z, or I'm going to left click this button here. Then with wireframe selected, I can press G and then Z, and then I can move this down to just above the bottom. Great! Now I am going to press tab again to enter object mode. I'm also going to select this here, it will change me back to solid view mode. I'm going to press S and Z to scale across the Z axes, just to make this object a little bit taller. That's looking a lot better. Now I'm going to press tab and enter edit mode. Now I will enter edge select mode and I will double click on this circle here. This will select the entire edge loop. You can also hold down Alt and press left click. However, this will not work if you have the emulated middle mouse button. If you want to turn that off, go into Edit, Preferences, and turn off this Emulate Free Button mouse. Now you'll be able to press Alt and then left click to select the entire edge loop. Now, I'm going to want to select multiple of these edge loops, so I'm now going to hold down Shift and Alt to select the other circle. Now, as you can see, I've got both of those circles selected, but none of these edges in between. I'm also going to select this bottom circle here by pressing Shift and then Alt left click. Now I'm going to press Ctrl and B to bevel, and about there should do. I will set the segments from 2. Keep in mind, the more segments, the more vertices you create, which is only really important if you're wanting to save performance for a game, for example. I'm going to set it to 2, and to finish off at the bottom here, I'm going to press free to enter face select this face, and then press I. Now I am going to press E and then Z to bring it up a little, just a tiny bit so it doesn't collide with the bottom of the cup. Now it'll come out into object mode, and if you want, you can go back into edit mode, bevel this loop here, but that is completely up to you. Now to finish up, I'm going to light up the scene and add a material. So I'll bring up my object a bit more by pressing G and then Z. I will come down to this materials panel called material properties, then I'll press this plus new, and I will call this material glass. I'll leave the base color as it is, turn the roughness value to 0, and before I finish this material, I am going to click this button here, which is the viewport shading option. Then I'm going to left click this transmission value and type in 1. Today I'm going to be using Eevee, so I'm going to turn on screen space refraction. I'm also going to come up here, make sure my shadows are set to high bit depth, and a cube size and cascade size of 4096. I will turn on screen space refractions so you'll be able to see the glass middle on Eevee. Turn on refraction, set this to 1, and max roughness is 0.76. Make sure your render engine is on Eevee for this. I also set my ambient occlusion to 0.5, and if you want to copy my values to be exact, you can turn on bloom here as well. Now I'm going to enter this viewport shading mode so we can see what our material looks like. Now I'm going to press Shift A, create a plane, I'm going to scale. This is just going to be a little floor for us. Then I will press Shift A come down to light, and I will create a sunlight. I will press G and then Z to bring this up, G and X move along, then I'll press R and Y to rotate. As you can see, it is creating a cast shadow. I'll then press R and then Z to rotate again, so we get a little bit more of an interesting cast shadow. As you can see, this object is see-through, although this is Eevee, so your results will not be as great as Cycles. This is what it will look like in Cycles. So if I change the render engine here from Eevee to Cycles, you can see that glass looks a lot more realistic. However, I will be using Eevee since it is a much faster engine. Eevee is also really good because it is essentially real time. You can also come down to this world setting here and change the strength here. If I set this to 0, background is now completely black. If I set this higher, it will make it brighter. Great, so now we've made this basic glass cup. Again, if you want to get a really nice result with this, I recommend rendering your image in Cycles. If you are going to render in Cycles, make sure you come under sampling, denoising, and turn this render on. That will denoise the image and get rid of all these nasty little white dots. Finally, if you want to save your object, press Ctrl and then S on the keyboard to save it, and then choose your directory and file name. If you want to render, Shift A and select camera. Then press G and then Z to move it up, G and Shift Z, move it back. As you can see, my camera is a square shape. That is because under output properties, I have set the resolution here. By default, this will be 1080 by 1920, standard HD. But I like to have it this square shape since I usually post on Instagram. I'll press this button here to go into the camera, and now I have a nice shot of my image. Now I can switch to Cycles, or I can stick in Eevee, and to render this image, all I need to do is left click render, and then press render image. My image is finished rendering, and here's the result I got. I just rendered an Eevee because Cycles does take a lot of time to render compared to Eevee. Finally, to save my image, I can left click this button called image, and then save as, and then I can choose a directory. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys found it useful, and if you want to see more beginner tutorials, make sure to check out my beginner tutorial playlist. It will be in the description. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.